Regarding Cheops pyramids. Over the phone we have Mr. Ihab Kamel. He's a tourism expert. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. First of all, just let's shed the light on these discoveries and what can these discoveries tell us more about the pyramid?
Well, of course, even when we talk about the fourth dynasty, not just the pyramids, we will discover that there are lots of information that are still missing about the fourth dynasty. They're a bit vague and unclear. It's about, for example, King Cheops, especially King Cheops, because we haven't had any pieces of antiquities or lots of pieces of antiquities referring back to this period. I mean, the only statue we have for King Cheops, it's only a 6-centimeter statue, and we believe that it wasn't even, or some archaeologists believe that it does not even belong to the fourth dynasty. It was made later on during the 26th dynasty in the Renaissance period. As a matter of fact, the fourth dynasty is one of the most glorious dynasties in the ancient Egyptian history, and they had left us the only remaining wonder of the seven ancient wonders of the ancient world, the pyramids of Giza. So the fourth dynasty, by all means, it's considered to be one, or it's like the backbone of the Old Kingdom and the ancient Egyptian history. The King Cheops, of course, he is the second king in that dynasty, and he's the most famous because he had built the biggest pyramids, the biggest building on the planet, and it stayed like that for centuries, the Great Pyramid, which was 481 feet. And for a very long time, the pyramid was an intriguing mystery for many archaeologists and many travelers, how it was built and how it was built with these tools, with these primitive tools in the ancient times. And we heard lots of theories. Some of them were proper archaeological theories, and some of them were actually theories that doesn't make any sense, as a matter of fact. And for centuries, we had been hearing this about the pyramid of Cheops. As a matter of fact, the fourth dynasty, it's a dynasty that extended for a relatively long time, and you can call it the last of the great dynasties with the divine pharaohs, because in those days the pharaohs were considered to be real deities, real gods. And after the fourth dynasty, a bit by bit, the Old Kingdom had started to decline, and it led to the total collapse after the sixth dynasty of the Old Kingdom, leading Egypt to what we know as the first intermediate period.
So, do you expect some more discoveries to tell us more about that dynasty? And what do we have anything, new information that we can learn from the latest discoveries that can tell us more about this period of time that still we don't have a lot about?
I was very glad when I heard about the latest discovery of a piece of papyrus that had ended a lot of the argument about who had built the pyramids. Let me put it between brackets. I think that had ended the argument about who had built the pyramids, and confirmed the theory that was that we studied for a very long time about building the pyramids. The pyramids blocks, the 2,300,000 blocks of stone, were actually cut from the local stone around the pyramid, from the Giza plateau, and the fine polished limestone, which was of a very high quality, that came from a different quarry, the quarry of Torah. Lately, there was a discovery in a place about 112 kilometers south of Suez, in a place called Wadi al-Garf. What did they discover in Wadi al-Garf? An Egyptian-French expedition led by Robert Talib. They had discovered a papyrus that had shocked the whole world, literally. This papyrus was belonging to an inspector, not a very high official, but an inspector of a medium rank. His name was Mir, speaking about transporting in an ancient port, transporting the blocks of the pyramids from the Torah quarry. They mean the outer casing blocks, during the time of King Cheops, speaking also about the 13th inventory of cattle. And as we know that the inventory was done for everybody in the country, population and animals and agricultural land. This was done every couple of years. So this had indicated that King Cheops had ruled for at least 26 years. It had spoken about the names of the workmen who had worked in the pyramids and how they were organized and how they were highly skilled elite workmen, and that this workforce consisted of 160 workmen that were led by Merir, and this force was divided into small forces, each force consisting of 40 men with their names as well, and how each force was responsible for something, and how they transported the blocks from Torah, because during the flood of the Nile they had built like big dams diverting part of the river channel into an artificial channel that went all the way from Torah, carrying the blocks of stone all the way to the pyramids directly, and how the boats were tied together in pairs to carry these blocks, and how many blocks were transported every month. Something that shows very high organization for the ancient Egyptians and excellent and very advanced methods of management and logistics management that were practiced at such an early period. Also confirming some of the unclear information about how many years that King Cheops had ruled. For example, Manetho had mentioned a number of years, Herodotus had mentioned a different number of years, but this, with evidence, confirms that King Cheops ruled for at least 26 years. So this is basically close to what Manetho had mentioned, although Manetho had lived many centuries after King Cheops when he was writing his book Historia about the history of Egypt. So this is a very important discovery dating back to the 4th dynasty, and I believe that this papyrus dating back to the 4th dynasty, it's a unique piece because we've never had any papyri belonging to such an early period. So basically, I believe that this is going to make a very big difference.
I think also it was accompanied with a journal mentioning also more about mirror, right?
Yes.
Could you tell us more about this also?
Well, actually, you mean Merir, the inspector?
Yeah.
Merir was not a high official. He was official of a medium rank, as we said. And as a matter of fact, Merir had spoken about all the details in regards to managing the workforce, and he had spoke about the blocks of stone they had moved, how many, how the task force or the workforce was organized. He had spoken about the amount of food they had consumed, and how much, and even where did they stay, and how many months they had worked before they were replaced by other workmen. As a matter of fact, this is something that is very advanced in comparison to this period, and I believe that this papyrus will be revealing a lot, and it will be under study for a very long time.
Right, Mr. Ihab Kamel, our tourism expert, thank you very much for joining us. And with this, we come to the end of our breakfast show for today. Thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International.
هنا في جنة على أرض